Have you ever had a meal that was so good you didn't know what to do with yourself after? Well, today I'm going to share with you an easy and breathtaking pasta recipe that will leave you so satisfied you might lose your mind. It's called Bolognese, or better yet, Ragu alla Bolognese in Italian. Enough chit chat, we know why you're here. Now let's make Bolognese. To begin our Bolognese, we're going to start out with our vegetables. Specifically, this mix is called Sofrito, which is often known as the aromatics of dishes in a variety of cultures. This Soffrito will consist of carrots, celery, and you guessed it, an onion. I'm going to start out here by laying out a bunch of beautiful carrots, about 7 if you want me to be exact. Forewarning, I never measure my Soffrito in this recipe. I don't find it necessary, and I like to just go with the flow for this portion. After you've adequately washed your veggies, grab your carrots and peel them one by one. I promise peeling doesn't take that long. Once you have the fresh carrot skin exposed such as this, set them aside. Now don't forget about your carrot skin, we've got a good use for that. Just kidding, throw that nonsense in the trash. Grab your peeled carrots and cut them in half, then begin to cut them into slices. After that, we will begin dicing them into 1/4-inch cubes. Now, I know you may think this looks like it could be a lengthy process, and you're right, it can be. I personally like to do this because I enjoy the abstract shapes of the carrots and celery. Having a variety of sizes is something that I enjoy in my Bolognese. Don't get me wrong, we're going to dice them very well though. They will also become so tender in the sauce that you won't mind these variations. If you have a food processor or a blender, you can use those to dice them as well. Trust me, I've done it before too, so don't feel bad. For my celery, I like to slice mine the long ways first into thin strips. Then I go back and cut them across to dice them, essentially the same way as I did the carrots. Next, grab and prep your onion to be diced as well. I prefer to use sweet onion, but you can use whatever onion you have on hand or that you prefer most. Funny story, when I was prepping this onion, I thought to myself, is there something wrong with this onion? Why am I not tearing up? Big mistake, I spoke too soon. Once you've cared for your onion, go out to your garden and pick out a garlic bulb and dice up about 4 cloves of garlic. Now, I diced mine into various chunks or sizes here. How you slice your garlic will affect how garlicky your sauce is, but I wanted a moderate garlic tone, so by not slicing them thinly, that's how we achieve that. This here is our finished product of prepping our Soffrito, minus the parsley. I mean, you can use the parsley, but I end up choosing to omit it. This part would make the carnivores happy, the meat prep. If you do enough research, you'll see all kinds of meat used for Bolognese. And honestly, I typically just use plain old ground beef or ground chuck. This time I went the elaborate route and decided to go more traditional by adding in ground lamb and prosciutto. Really, pancetta is more traditional, but even in the large city of Atlanta, I could not find it. I searched every major grocery store and my local mom and pop butcher shops, and I was empty-handed. However, this is a great second option, so here we go. Start with 1 pound or 453 grams of ground lamb. Repeat those measurements for your ground chuck as well. This here is our beautiful prosciutto. I must say it looks delicious in this shot. Lay it out and begin cutting it into cubes. I actually cut it into 1/2-inch cubes, but it's best to go for 1/4-inch cubes because they will brown faster and you'll have more chunks in your sauce later on. After browning my cubes, I went back to dice them more because, as I said before, they're a little larger than expected. Once done, set them aside and head back to your stove. Let's start off by adding our ground lamb and ground chuck to our large saucepan, Dutch oven, brazier, you name it. I prefer the latter two, but take your pick. All we're going to do here is simply brown our meat. Once we have achieved our desired texture/color of doneness, toss in 4 tablespoons or 57 grams of butter and let that render in. After that, add your prosciutto or pancetta to the mix. Let this combine for 2-3 minutes on medium-high heat. Now for the Soffrito. I should have added my onions first to let them sweat for a second, but personally I don't know if it really makes a difference given that everything becomes so tender after simmering for 3 hours anyway. But if you want to be correct, add your onions first, then throw in your celery and carrots immediately after. Pour in 3/4 of a cup or 180 milliliters of white wine to deglaze the bottom of your pan. Adding this will allow you to move all those stuck-on bits from earlier. Let the wine simmer for about 3 to 4 minutes, then add 12 ounces or 340 grams of tomato paste, 2 cups or 473 milliliters of chicken stock, and 1 cup or 236 milliliters of regular cream or milk. Toss in 3 bay leaves, preferably fresh, and your fresh sage. Give it a mix and let it simmer on low heat for 3 hours. Or you can toss in your oven for 3 hours at 370 degrees Fahrenheit. Obviously, it will lose moisture in the process, so don't be afraid to add more stock throughout if your sauce is looking a little thick. About halfway through the 3 hours, I checked and realized something was off. The texture was one because it wasn't fully melt in your mouth tender, but I noticed I forgot to add my whole cinnamon stick and a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Please, do better than me. Toss it back in for another 1.5 hours. At this point, we will prep our pasta. Is this fresh? Yes. Am I cheating because I bought this from the store? Maybe. Look, I didn't prep any pasta dough the night before, so sorry y'all. But it is nice to know lasagna sheets work well for shaping pappardelle. My dough's getting a little dry, so I added some water to keep it pliable. I found that rolling it allowed me to achieve really great symmetry for the wide pasta shape. Once done shaping, I had to cover it with a damp towel because I noticed it becoming too dry. By the way, here's a look at the final sauce. Oh my gosh. Once your water is boiling, add your sea salt and add in your pasta. Take note that fresh pasta cooks in half the time dry pasta does, so it's best to just stay at the stove. This cooked in under 2 minutes, by the way. In a large wide saucepan, add your sauce, 1 tablespoon or 14 grams of unsalted butter, and your pappardelle. Let everything melt together on high heat for less than 1 minute. After that, remove that bad boy from the stove, plate your pasta, add your freshly grated pecorino romano, and lastly, dig in and accept your awaiting food coma. Now enjoy this beautiful footage of pasta bolognese.
Well, that's it everyone. That's how I like to make my bolognese. It's very easy, simple, and straightforward. Every time I eat it, I can never get over how tender the meat and Soffrito are. Letting it simmer for a couple of hours leaves you with an amazing and unforgettable ragu. If you know me, you know that I'm very passionate about pasta, so believe me when I say that this dish is absolutely delicious. To wrap this up, if you're passionate about pasta or love it as much as I do, or if you learned something new watching this video, then give this video a like and smash that subscribe button. In the meantime, enjoy making some pasta, and I'll see you next time.